Well, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on and being willing to not only, make the connection with me and speak to me, but also to come on and let me ask you some questions about your experience of life, because it's been vastly different from mine in a lot of ways, and also probably vastly similar to mine in a lot of ways as well.
That's for sure. Everybody's walk is different, but there are a lot of similarities. And yeah, I think I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks a lot. I wanted to just give people in my realm or my space in the world. I mainly focus on spiritual coaching, intuition work, and a lot of that can often be not so finance or kind of the practical matters of life oriented. And so, since we connected at this amazing event, Speakpreneur, I learned in that meeting that you have a strong spiritual connection and also are no stranger to the recovery world, which is also a lot of what my background is.
Right.
And so I just wanted to ask some questions to you from this. I'm just going to give a bit of your background here in a sec, to hear from you with this kind of merger of spirituality and recovery world and then the finance world. Since, when I approached you at the seminar, um, I had no idea that you would even be open to really giving me any of your time. And I'm really honored that you even entertained the connection and the outreach. What really impressed me the most was you had spoken and said you lost $18 million dollars in purchasing a NASCAR team, but it was something that you had wanted to do your whole life and really was important to you. And you're still living and standing and working and creating amazing things. So living to tell the tale. And I just am in awe of your ability to be that resilient. And also, I just wanted to speak to you because I'm like, well, if this guy can lose that much money and still be, standing and mastering life, then I need to speak to him. So, just to give everybody a little bit of background, Brandon Davis is the founder of Trek One Capital. He has more than 20 years of experience in forming and funding over 100 entities and a dozen M&A transactions. Companies Brandon has owned have completed thousands of transactions, domestic and international, across many industries. Brandon's industry agnostic approach is rooted in his ability to identify opportunities that offer immediate value and growth potential, as well as synergistic connections to our current portfolio companies. Brandon's business approach stands out for its remarkable adaptability, which is completely aligned to what I know of you in the short time that I've known you. Whether investing in traditional sectors like oil and gas or exploring new and innovative industries, Brandon's focus remains on creating value and driving growth. This flexibility has been instrumental in Trek One's capital success, allowing the firm to capitalize on emerging trends and identify opportunities that others may overlook. And this, combined with his deliberate vision and deep understanding of various industries, along with robust and extremely experienced team, has put Trek One Capital on the map in the boutique private equity space. So thank you so much.
That's a mouthful, and thank you. that
Yeah.
was I really appreciate you
Yeah.
introducing me.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
your time and energy. So I
Happy
first
to do it.
met Brandon, just asking for some advice on a simple financial matter, which then blossomed into a larger conversation about my big dream and vision. So I'd love to ask you to start off, Brandon, if you'd like to share a bit about, you know, how we met and um, what brought you to that event and why is it important to you?
I never know what like when I want to go to an event like that, I never know why. I really like Paul. I really like the group. And what I found is putting myself into those places and interacting with people like you and all the others that were there who genuinely are there to better themselves. They're there to better their lives. They want to be you and me, all of us want to be better. And self work is is not something everyone's willing to do, but the people who are willing to do it and take the time and put the effort in and suffer through it, because it sucks sometimes, you come out the other side a better, stronger, more connected person. And that's the reason that I go to those kinds of events, because it keeps me that way. And it keeps me grounded. Otherwise, I'm in rooms with financial people and extremely wealthy people, and a lot of those conversations, surprisingly, are similar, but it's just not the same. It's just a different overall vibe. Everyone's trying to better themselves financially, versus everyone there is trying to genuinely better themselves. And I'm saying I'm not trying to take away from the other groups that I'm part of and the things that I do, but ultimately, it's just a little bit different. And we met, we talked. You told me a little bit about your journey, and I told you that I had a lot of similarities. And I've definitely been through it too. So, I think that every person out there that ever has been anything and stayed that way, or been there, dropped back to zero and bounced back, has had to do a lot of self-reflecting. And in order for someone to stay successful, I think they have to do a lot of reflecting and determine who they are, what they're about, why they're doing what they're doing, and ultimately what's the end look like. And I think those are all factors in the equation of life to me, and I still don't have them all answered myself. It evolves constantly, and I meet new people, learn new things, see new angles, and I constantly adapt and adjust my plans and my whole world to fit that. Because nothing is static. Nothing's still. As much as we want it to be, we figure something out. We figure it out. We worked really hard to figure something out, and the next day something changes and it doesn't work anymore. Right? Like that. So many people though, they figure something out and they do it for years, and then all of a sudden it stops working, and then they don't know what to do. Right? It happens a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be that person ever again. I've been there before. I've felt that pain, and that's a helpless pain that you just suffer through, because ultimately you have to get back down to kind of zero to reconnect with yourself and come back out of it. So it's
Yeah.
tricky.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for sharing that. I'm gonna just feed off of what you closed with there. Um, was there a specific time in your life that was like a bottom? We speak a lot about this in 12-step recovery that, you
You're
can't.
not going to believe me. You're
Sure.
not going
Well,
to believe me.
I'll
I've
believe
had many
you.
of them.
I'm glad I believe.
And yeah, in 12 steps that you go through those things. Um, I've been to retreats, I've been to rehabs, I've been to everything. And the general message that I have received, whether it cost $5,000 a day or it was free, you get the same message both ways. And that is, love yourself first. And if you can't do that, nothing else matters, right? Like at the end of the day, that's where it all starts. And it's easy to say, but it's hard to do, especially when you're making bad decisions and the wrong decisions and things are going wrong. And you're beating yourself up and everyone's telling you how stupid you are and how bad off you are and how big you just, you're never going to get past this. You're never going to get out of this. And, it's my favorite time when someone tells me I can't do something. Oh, like it just flips a switch inside me, whether I know it at the moment or not. Like it comes out later. I'm like, yes, I can. Um, but that's where the resiliency comes in, right? Like um, the most recent bottom for me was in April of this year, and it was probably the worst one um, that I've ever had, and it was built up over a long period of time, and I put myself there. And I obviously, I think we always do, right? We always put ourselves in these situations. They're like, um, you 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 tear yourself apart. You put yourself around people who do the same. Um, you lose sight of your vision. You lose focus on the things that are important to you, and that happens to me. And then I find myself feeling like I have no purpose. That I don't. No one loves me, including myself, and no one supports me, including myself. And you go through these times, and you start snowballing that just like you do the positive things in your life. And the next thing you know, you wake up looking up, going, how did I get here? And those times, as you know, may last a month or 6 months or a year or 10 years in some cases, or in my case, it had built up and had built up. And it was probably a 9 month process to get it all figured out and probably decide to get out of that situation emotionally. I actually went to a place called Onsite in Tennessee. Um, Beautiful place, amazing staff. And I did that because I knew that I couldn't. I've been trying for a long time to fix my problem myself, and I couldn't. So I needed to go find people who were smarter than me, and then God put me with a room full of other men who were extremely successful and extremely strong, and all of us were dealing with the same thing. And that uh, helped me find my issue. And I, everyone here doesn't know anything about me, but I grew up in Southern Oklahoma, very suppressed, depressed area, if you will, financially. There's no jobs. All I get. It's not a great place to live for someone who's a dreamer and wants to be something. And I changed schools 22 times from the time I got into kindergarten until I graduated high school. Like I was, all things told, I had, and my mother is an alcoholic. My parents got divorced when I was young. Blah blah blah. I have all these things. If I look back in my life, I have all these things that I could put myself in a victim role, right? Like I could put myself in a victim role. Like for any of those things I just mentioned, and there's a million more, and I never did. But some things happened to me in my adult life that I'm like, I put myself in the victim role. I put myself in that this happened to me because of this person, da da da. So I had 5 days of therapy for me to figure out that I made that decision myself, and it was my fault. It wasn't anybody else's fault, and it literally woke me up from like this funk that I had been in for like years. And I'm telling you a lot here, but ultimately,
Fast recovery point, 5 days of therapy.
5 days. It was 5 days. I mean, 5 days is a lot.
Fast to
All
realize
day,
that.
all day long in a group of
Hmm.
six. There were six of us. I actually went and spent the weekend with that group over the weekend. That's my trip to Charleston was with that group of people. That's how close we've become because of
Mm.
that experience, and support each other and have probably a better relationship than I have with most of my friends just because of the intimacy and the depth at which you go into when you're in those situations. And I find it funny because I think some of the guys that are in high society that they're concerned and they're ashamed a little bit about having done that.
Mhm.
And I think that's sad because anyone that goes betters themselves, everyone around them, their family, their friends, should be praising them and giving them pats on the back for going and working on themselves. Where, how, when, that's irrelevant. Like when you go make yourself better, the people around you should love you and support you, not go, oh, well, he did this. We shouldn't talk to him anymore. And those are the people that need to be out of your life anyway. And in certain circles, that's just faux pas. I've had this dream for years that I wanted to start a charity or a foundation. I haven't done it because I've been in this funk myself, but to bring awareness to adult mental health. It is the biggest problem in the world. It's the most overlooked, ignored, shamed, neglected sickness that exists.
Mhm.
And I think when we're kids, are constantly around multiple people and things are going around. And as you get into adulthood, you start isolating and your circle changes and your circle changes and you're isolated. The next thing you know, you have one set of opinions around you, and those aren't the opinions that you need to help yourself, right? Or make yourself better or anything else. And I think lots and lots and lots of people, even you look at the political spectrum right now, lots and lots and lots of people like to sit around and talk to other people who agree with them. And that does nothing but make things worse. They should be in rooms with people who disagree 100% with them, 180-degree opposite, and find common ground, because that's what makes this country work. That's what makes people work. And that's just lost. And I think that's also causing this adult mental health pandemic, whatever you want to call it, get worse, bigger, harder for people to accept. But that's my part of my life goal is and mission is to make adult mental health a mainstream thing, not something that people have to hide about, that have to go off to therapy and not tell people about because they're ashamed of it. That's just ridiculous.
Mhm.
But it's common um, and sad because that's the only way you get better. So, um, go you have an infection, you go get an antibiotic. You have a cavity, you get your tooth filled. I could go on and on. When you're mentally ill, nobody thinks you should take medicine or go help yourself, and I think it just disgusts me. So
Yeah.
I have something to work on there myself, which definitely aligns with what you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing all that. I feel that especially men allowing themselves to be vulnerable, and particularly from, what part of the world you're coming from, what you have a lot of clout in the finance world, and you're also willing to be open about, getting help and seeking help. It just shows how aligned you are with that mission. Um, I'm curious, like, what made, like, the straw that broke the camel's back for you going into this therapy, group therapy center, for one.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to go back. It's the second time I've done this in my life, and it was the
Yeah.
second smartest thing I've ever done. I wish I would have done it more often. So you're asking what caused me to want to go?
Yeah, after all those years, and, like, you said 9 months leading up to this, like, it's been brewing. Like, what was the thing that was like, I'm going this time, I'm going today, like, I
And
need.
during that time, I was also trying to get business things moving, and nothing really moved, and put things together, and nothing really came together. Every business deal and transaction that was supposed to happen for some reason didn't. And it just so things just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. I also had a relationship that I had been in for about a year, and I also like that was probably the biggest thing that pushed me is this like I just didn't feel like myself anymore, and I wanted to. Um, and I did it. I wasn't even a hesitation. I asked someone for a referral. I called, I booked it, and I was there 4 days later. Um, and I it was a myriad of things. I think that the final thing was that I was miserable in a relationship. I was miserable in my work life because everything had gone. I mean, just everything kind of went wrong, and I was kind of at the bottom. I was just like, I was to a point where like I don't know what to do. And I wasn't like ready to end my life or disappear or anything. I was literally at a point where I didn't feel like I could get there without more help. And I also knew from because I did the same thing 10 years ago, how powerful those group sessions are, and having other people just like the meeting that I met you was for people to better themselves in business and be able to build them businesses and build their brand. Well, people that go to these places want to better their mental health. So, I knew what I was getting into. I knew how hard it was going to be. I didn't expect to make 5 new friends that I would consider family that I would do anything for. That part blew my mind. And my life has been a frenzy since I walked out of that place, and in a positive way.
Yeah.
The relationship that I had actually ended when I got back because I just decided that wasn't healthy for me, and she decided the same thing. We communicated about that, and so then I just kind of moved on from that, focused on business, and that's all I've done since. And it's been amazing. I've spent more quality time with my kids. I have 5 new partnerships that are spinning up that are me partnering with other people to start and or grow businesses. I really can't say that anything's gone any way but the right way since then, and I hope that that continues. I want to stay positive and focus and really work on that, but I understand that that's probably not going to happen. but but I want to try to make it as good as it can be, right? I mean, I want things to work out, and I have really been more open, and I believe that's also helped with a lot of the things that are coming together right now very quickly for me. So I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, bravo. I'm assuming there was a large spiritual component to the center that you checked into. Is that
No,
a correct assumption?
no, and this is called the Living Centered program, and you can look it up. It's a really like popular thing. It's been around for 30 years. But no, it wasn't there, there were people there that were atheists, there were people there that were Muslim, there were people there, all kinds of different religions. So they didn't really, there was a presence of spirituality there for sure. I mean, and both from Native American to spiritual to God to everything in between. I mean, that was the presence there. I think that like any facility like that, that is rooted in self-help and finding yourself has to have a direct link to every religion and non-religion and people that can relate to others from in those situations, because we don't all believe the same thing, but at the end of the day I think we all want to love each other and be loved, and beyond that I think the rest of it just life.
Yeah. And do you have a personal spirituality, separate from religion? Because I believe that religion is just the way that many people choose to express their spirituality or connect with other people that share the same belief
Correct.
system. But in terms of spirit, it takes so many forms, like what you mentioned, Native Americans, atheists, Muslims. It's all we believe in something. So my personal spirituality is the entirety of the universe. It is Mother and Father God. It is all of nature, all of the planets, all of the stars, all of the Akash. I have a yogic background, so it's the Vedas. And basically I totally agree with you that we're all wanting the same thing, and that higher power is love, and that is what we all
That
seek, right? And we're seeking love
well,
of ourselves.
everything you mentioned is connected to you, right? Like all of the things and all the things in the universe, the planet, like all of it is connected to us. Um, and we're connected to it. And I think that you have to have um, that comfort, that knowledge, that peace of mind that, you know, like that all of the whatever your higher power is also part of you and in you, and whatever it is, if it's just you, it's you, and it doesn't matter. Like I feel very strongly about that, and I think that being reconnected with yourself and really having that relationship with yourself is not far off from the relationship you have with your higher power. It's very much aligned, and those things work together in tandem. In my life, it seems to be the case. I know when I'm disconnected, it's just like it's just hard. And when I'm connected to myself and I feel good, and I can walk in a room with anyone and I'm comfortable and I can not worry about what the result is and walk out feeling great about the conversation. I know I'm in the right mindset and in the right place emotionally and spiritually, and it's a hard place to be. It's scary because you're vulnerable, but you can't really get anything in return if you're not. And back to the people do something and it works and it works and it works, and that's great and it's amazing. But what happens is you routine makes you not vulnerable, which slowly makes you close all those doors up unless you're making a huge effort to get out of your own way and question everything and talk to people who you disagree with and all the things. I mean, those are all things that make you better and stronger. I like to work with people who are smart, who genuinely are on the same page as me as far as moral values. But beyond that, I want someone who loves what they do enough to yell at me about what they want and not be afraid of whatever comes back, because that's how you find the best thing is you disagree and you debate, and sometimes that gets elevated and I want to see emotion in people, right? Like I want to see like that. And that is those are the people I keep around me. People that have huge hearts, that are morally sound, and are really, just ready to go, make everything that we touch better.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I hear a lot of like passion behind that. Like you need people who are really passionate and also commitment, are committed to what their dreams are, what they're trying to do in the world. There's a lot of purpose behind that. I'm curious what it is that when you say you're connected to yourself and when you step into rooms, when you can feel that difference when you're not connected to yourself. To me, that connection is through higher power, right? We are spirit, spirit is us. It's all one. I don't know. I believe we are all one. So when there's things that are amiss in our lives, you spoke a lot to this about how, things aren't going well in my relationships, things aren't going well in my business. So it's like, okay, now I really need to, it's like getting you on all sides, like my personal life, my business life. Wow. And there are certain things that I have developed over the course of my coming into my own sense of spirituality that in my addiction, we call them top lines. It's like the rubric for how I need to incorporate what I need to incorporate into every day of my life to make me in that place where I feel really connected to myself. For me, that means I have to meditate, I have to sweat, I have to shower, I have to make my food that's like perfect for what my needs are. I mean, to the nitty gritty, like I need to pray. I need to journal. I need to get on meetings. There's just so many things that it can start to take up a whole day, a whole week, your whole life. And these things become our lives. So I'm curious for you, what sets up the stage? Like if we were doing an incident report around like the best day ever, what would set the stage for you to be operating at your highest vibration than when you're like, this is it. Like I am on point, I am showing up, and I feel awesome about it.
That's really hard to answer. Um, I think it starts with a good night's sleep. I think that's
Yeah,
probably the biggest thing for me.
yeah.
And then having a few minutes with my kids in the mornings, I think is very, for me. It's just it's my purpose, and I just enjoy spending time with them. So if I get to do that, and then I need about 15 minutes to breathe when I find myself meandering off the wrong way. I just literally take some deep breaths, close my eyes, and center myself, and I'm good to go. That's usually all it takes. Now, obviously, um, you're talking about routine and the things that you do and that you like to do and you need. I'm not as I used to be really structured with my life and routine wise, and I'm getting back to a little bit more because I think I went too far the other way. But um, what I just I don't want to be dependent on any specific thing to make my day, right. So a good night's sleep and opportunity, and that's really all it takes for me. And I get to spend some time with my kids, it's even better. But just a good night's sleep and people who are open-minded and wanting to do something to better themselves or the companies or whatever, that puts me in my wheelhouse, and I stay there. um Things go wrong, I get calls, I get texts, oh my gosh, this just blew up or broke or whatever it is. And
Mhm.
I have to handle that and get off the phone and take a minute and recenter myself, and that's how I do it. And it doesn't take a lot of time, and it takes a lot of focus, but it's a short amount. It's just, I just have to like remember why I'm here, how I got here, and what really matters to me. And once I put myself back in alignment with that, when I'm talking about alignment, that's it. Like what really matters to me is being happy, doing the right thing, bringing people up around me, and doing deals and meeting new people who are aligned with me, on those things and in business, and working with those people to do amazing things. And that's a great day for me. Whether this has been a great day for me. I woke up this morning because I dropped my cell phone yesterday at the airport, and it
Oh no.
blinked out the screen, so I couldn't make phone
Oh, no.
calls. I could use my computer for text, but that doesn't really work when you have a constant phone issue. So
Yeah.
I took the morning and I went and was extremely stressed out and went to the AT&T store, and they sent me to another store, and I waited for an hour for them to fix my phone. And I was pretty spun up about it. So then from that, I went to the gym and had some really nasty calls on the way. And while I worked out, and I got through my workout about halfway through, I put my phone down and kind of got refocused myself. And I've been in the right mindset ever since. But this morning threw me off for sure. But that's just, things happen. And I think that how far you let those push you out of your norm, your wheelhouse, and how much you let it impact your happiness is really up to you. And as I think when we realize that, and obviously I get caught in that shit too. I get caught in the moment. I'm like, oh my goodness, did I really just do that? Did I send that email to that person that says things that aren't pleasant just because I was in a bad mood? I got to pick up the phone and call. I apologize. I shouldn't have sent that email, and I'll call the other 15 people on it too. It happens. I mean, it's
Oh,
life.
yeah.
So, realizing when you're off and realizing when you do things wrong, I think is a big part of it too. If you can't do that, then you're failing yourself and those people around you. And I think um, it's a humbling thing for sure because you're not always right.
Yeah.
You're just not. Want to
Learn
be, but
to-
that's just not reality. So.
Right, exactly. I really appreciate you touching upon all these things because they're all very aligned with 12 step. So like you're speaking to amends, you're speaking to top line behaviors, you're speaking to even the gym, like, that that's going to help you in that moment to burn off some steam, right? Like, I am
Mhm.
really triggered. This is not okay. I cannot deal with this. Let me get into the body. Let me do some things that are actually good for me outside of, yeah, this is a really horrible thing. My phone is shattered and I can't do anything that I normally would, but I have to just keep moving, keep going. So with those things, and we just passed the 333 mark, I just wanted to notice do it with some numerology, the magic of it. Are there also things that you need to avoid in your life that you can't involve yourself in what we would call bottom line behaviors? That it's like this is going to be a bit of a trigger and lead me down this path that I'm not going to like. Do you have any of those that are just like big, absolutely deal breakers for you in your personal life, your business life? What are those boundaries for you?
I mean, all of it attributes back to just not being around toxic people. And when, and I think that's a very broad spectrum of folks. And I don't even think it's something that's wrong with them. I've come to terms with it's 50-50, right? So I have to be there and I have to engage in whatever it is for it to be toxic. So it's not just someone else's issue is my point, I guess. My point is that I identify and realize when I'm with or around or in a relationship or doing a deal or whatever with someone who constantly puts me in a mental space that is fight or flight um and on edge and stressed ultimately. And I've politely and graciously exited and or ended relationships with people that do that. And that probably is the biggest thing because those those relationships that you are drawn to people, you're drawn to someone, you really want to be around them, you enjoy them, but ultimately everything about that relationship makes you worse, makes you less patient, makes you less confident, makes you less successful, but you still love that person and want to be around them and you have lots of feelings for them, but everything goes bad and everything goes wrong. It took me a long time to realize that those aren't things that can be fixed. Like those are dynamic issues that I don't understand. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I am not God. I'm not in a position to be able to understand that. But what I do know is that when I keep myself away from those situations as fast as I notice that they're happening, it eliminates any temptation or ultimate, like, depression or anxiety, those things start, stop popping up as often because I don't have someone constantly pecking at me and or me doing it to them. However it happens, it goes both ways. I'm not by any means saying it's just one-sided, but it's just relationships that are not fruitful for both people should not exist. Period.
Well said. Here, here. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, and I also run a program called the Feminine Firing Squad, which is actually about exactly that. Because of my history with narcissism and not knowing, not recognizing that that relationship needed to end with one of my parents, that I needed to step into that and have that play out in the rest of my life. So it created this kind of not knowing how to set boundaries, how to walk away from those people who are toxic. So I love that you brought that up, that really putting yourself in those relationships that continue to be destructive, continue to put you in that state of this is not okay. Like, I'm not okay. And then I have to go through the work of getting myself back to that place. That's just my equilibrium again. It's just not worth it. Like, why am I putting this energy into you when it keeps coming back as detrimental to my health? And especially with talking about adult mental health, like staying in these destructive relationships is such a key feature to maintaining our own sanity, our own stability. And like, how do you do that, especially in the business world? I want to leverage your, your acumen in being in these, situations with people where there's like the stakes are high. And if someone is, you know we live in a world where there's a lot of corporate greed. There's a lot of businesses, companies, heads of companies that are not doing what is ethically or morally right by any means. And then you come face to face with them, but they hold all this kind of like, yeah, financial clout that you might need their investment. How do you make those decisions, and how do you navigate kind of that walking away?
well, I've been very blessed in my life, and I've had some amazing things happen, and
Mm.
I've had tremendous success that I never dreamt of, and that allows me deference, and so I choose my mental health and my relationship with myself and my stability over money every time. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I don't think anyone should bend those things for money. And I wouldn't take someone's money if I didn't want to talk to them on a regular basis and I didn't get along with them. I don't care how bad I need it. I would rather not. I would rather be homeless. At least Travis would come feed me and get me a hotel on occasion. Um, he's awesome, by the way.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the harder people to deal with in this regard, because business, I mean, business, you don't always see that, right? But if you do see it or you feel it, walk away every time. You can't be in business with someone that you're not morally and emotionally and aligned with, and that doesn't mean you have to believe in the same things. That just means you have to be able to get along without triggering you. Right? At the end of the day, that's it. The part that's hard, the people that are hard on this are your family members.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. That's the part that everyone on the planet struggles with, because we're raised to respect people even if they don't respect us. At least I was, and I think the hardest thing to do is to cut family members out of your life that are detrimental to you and your mental health. And I've done it, and I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Um, I have an alcoholic mother, and she tried. She's from Oklahoma. She sold her house in Oklahoma. My grandmother and her husband had passed away a few years prior, and so she had cleaned up their estate and wanted to come down and be closer to my kids. And she came down, and for 3 months it was amazing. And then she stopped coming around, and when she did, it was weird and different. And they could tell she was drinking, and ignored it for a little while. And I said something to her and made it very clear that that was not going to be acceptable around my kids because it's just gross. It's just not something I want my kids to have to deal with. I've dealt with it. It's done what it's done to me, and I don't want that to happen to them. And so that went on for a few months, and then I just said, hey, I can't. You can't come around these kids if you're going to be like that. And then eventually she moved away, and we haven't spoken in 6 months. And I don't know if I will talk to her. I love her, but I just can't have that in my life. I just can't, and that makes me really sad. It's hard pill to swallow, but I know for me to be what I need to be, that's what needs to happen. And maybe at some point I'll be strong enough to be able to deal with that. Like at some point. But I I'm not right now, and I don't see it happening in the near future. So business is easy. Don't do business with people you don't enjoy being around because you're going to be around them a lot. Family is a bitch because you have to be around them. And if not, all the other family members guilt you about it. And that is so messed up and so wrong. And the opposite of what should happen. It shouldn't be like that. So, I feel for those people who aren't able to get out of those situations because of maybe financial handcuffs or a bazillion other reasons. So that to me is the hardest relationships to navigate. With my brother, with my sister, with my parents, my grandparents, uncles, cousins. I mean, I've had issues with many of them, and I don't talk to a lot of them, and I love them to death. But it's just, you can't sacrifice your soul just to be around someone else that's family. Like you can still love them from a distance. So I just, that to me is the hardest part. And that is, I would venture to guess, the hardest part for most people. And it sucks. And it really, it causes a lot of pain for a lot of people on both ends of that. And I've seen it so much growing up where I grew up, and just even here in the city, I meet people and they're amazing people, and then you get to know someone and you start seeing what they're having to deal with to just be. It's not worth it. That relationship's not worth it. Life's absolutely worth it, but people, again, it comes back to the money or the happiness thing. And unfortunately, I think that people choose money over happiness because they think that will make them happy, but it doesn't, and it doesn't last forever, and you can't take it anywhere with you. Um, but I can sit around and um, love myself and feel good about the things I've done today, um, and be very happy. And ultimately, I feel extremely confident and secure because of the ability to do that. And it sucks not talking to my mom. I mean, it really does. She'll text me here and there, and it makes me sad. And my kids ask about her, and it's hard to answer that. She's not here. She's not around. They don't really dig because they can tell it emotionally taxes me to talk about it, but they don't understand it. Maybe someday I'll explain. They will, but right now they don't. Um, and so it's tough. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. I know that story very well. It's part of my story as well. And it's part of so many people's story in recovery and outside of recovery. Um, our family of origin stories are what I believe to be the basis of how we establish our values, how we view the world, how we understand boundaries, what's okay, what's not okay, and ultimately what we live based on what those values are, whether they're assumed, conditioned. We navigate our own life path, and then if we don't ever come to a point where we can realize, okay, their values are different from what mine are, so I'm just going to separate from that and be okay with it, then we're not really doing ourselves the justice of living a purpose-filled life. And I just really appreciate you bringing, being again that vulnerable and being able to share that, because I think that we look at people who have really made it in business and don't consider enough the fact that,
I'm
it's
busy.
a lot that we go through. Oh, I.
We're going to WWE Raw, Monday Night Raw after this. So that's what
Oh,
he's geared up.
wow.
Let me finish this. I'll come find
Super
you, okay?
excited.
Okay. Watch the rest of it. I'll see you in a minute. Sorry. Go ahead and
That's
finish. I
okay. It's
apologize.
totally fine.
That's the
That's
little
all.
one that was up in the rafters in the cabin that I showed you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tiny little guy.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, it just shows how loving of a father that you are, and the lessons that you're able to pass on because you've done your own work, and being so masterful in all of these different areas of your life is going to bleed out into the way that your children run their lives as well, and they'll be all the better for it. I myself am actually going into family therapy in grad school currently, and it's the foundation of what I truly believe is the answer to everyone's whatever disease or illness or pain that they're experiencing, that it stems from how we were treated, how we treat ourselves now in light of that, and the choices that we make going forward, what we learned from it. And I don't know if you were familiar with the term, but a cycle breaker. You're effectively taking what you've learned and deciding from here on out, we don't do this anymore. We don't operate this way. And I'm stepping away with love and I'm moving towards this is how I'm going to present life to my own children. How I'm living, you're actually being the example. You are the example of how you're meant to live life and how they're going to get ultimate happiness for themselves. So it's really beautiful. I just want to commend you for being, a male in the business world and for also being really in touch with your emotions and being open to being able to share that so openly. Probably said open about 15 times, but
Well, it's important.
yeah, it
I
is.
mean, it's an important word. Like I use it a lot too
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it definitely is a different way of being than the normal way.
Yeah. It's a third of the program that I have committed my life to, essentially. It's the how program, and it comes from Alcoholics Anonymous, from the big book, that if we're honest, the H, if we're open, the O, and if we're willing to move forward in this way, then the seeds of our intentions are possible, and life becomes a beautiful journey as opposed to, like you said earlier, being in this victim mentality and staying stuck. So Brandon, I just want to, I can't thank you enough for agreeing to just talk to me on this platform, being honestly so open for just saying, I mean,
You
even
were
if
trying to send me you were trying to send me questions. Like, I don't need any questions.
you're
And
like,
just to be
I'll just show
clear,
up.
I'll show up and answer whatever you want. I'll talk about anything. I mean, I think that's it. But you just to be clear, like I had 15, 20 years of adult life that I was a tyrant and structured and had my way of doing things and no other way mattered. And
Mhm.
I had that part of my life. And I woke up one day and I had kids and I'm looking at myself and I'm thinking about the things that I'm dealing with and the relationships that I have, which none of them were great at the time because of just the way I was. And I'm like, is this how I want them to remember me? That was what started my journey. Like, is this how I want them to think of me and remember me? And when they're telling their grandkids about me, how are they describing me? What is my legacy? Which ultimately I've decided is me passing along as much wisdom and love to my children as I can, and for them to have the best life they can. And so I realized that I had an issue, and I became aware of it, which is the biggest thing. I think that the biggest problem with people on the mental health side is they're not aware. I mean, that's the focus of my entire um my purpose in the charity that I want to do at some point. I should just do it. Is to make people aware of themselves and what they're doing and how and why. And everything we do, there's a reason behind it, whether it's from our childhood, adulthood, or it's just the only way to do it. But there's a reason for everything, and emotions and the way we feel and the way things go. And taking the time and spending the energy to understand why those things happen is a life changer. So that's I probably did it the hardest way possible, which is how I do everything. So it's nothing new. And I'm trying to change that too. I've gone from like venture capital, which like very rarely works, to buying businesses that are already successful and making them better. And that's definitely less stress. And, I want to be able to spend time with my kids and do things like I'm doing tonight with them. So I
Incredible.
appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on, and being so bold to have this platform in the first place. It's really impressive, and I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. All right, the $1 million question. If you could tie it back to anything, and we may have already answered this, but you've been talking about how you're kind of marrying or having all of your financial success, your business success, really beginning from this foundation of knowing yourself and trusting yourself and loving yourself. And yet you did have, like you just said, a lifetime of being a tyrant, and that still equated to some success.
Well, lots of success.
So if you could, your best advice to people like just starting
Success
out.
Success does not equal happiness.
Yeah.
That is it. Um, you know, Acts of kindness are amazing. But at the end of the day, if you aren't in tune with your own feelings and understanding why you have them and where they come from, um, it's really hard to be the best you.
Thank you so much for just confirming that. I
Good.
just want to, yeah, I want to also share the idea that I have that I actually came to you with for creating a Sacred Earth sanctuary all around getting back to nature, our intuition, trusting that we live by the sun, that our bodies are beautiful machines that are thriving and meant to survive, and that if we can handle our emotions and our spirit and make those really hard decisions for ourselves, how we continue, that there will be a place for us to come and get that recovery and help. And I just want to thank you to a broader audience for being willing to try to help me, who's seemingly no one, approaching you at an event where you are one of the keynote speakers, and just being so open again to connect, do whatever you can is in your power just to help support me, even though, never met me before in your life. And, here we are today. I'm just really grateful for that, trying to give the little gal some access to the the key shareholders that might be able to make my dreams and visions come true in service to the greater good of all of humanity. So it's really
Well, other than stature, there's nothing little about you. All right. Um, and just so you understand why that happened, I mean, you were telling me about what you wanted to do, and I could feel it. I literally could feel it. And the passion and the desire and the just emotion, love behind it. I could feel it. And um I believed you when you told me what you wanted to do, and I believe you'll do it. Whether I can help or not is another question, but I believe you'll do it either way. And this I'll do this anytime you want.
thank you so much. Yeah, I'm holding back, getting choked up myself again, but I think it's so beautiful also for with your perspective of wanting to help with adult mental health. And I've always been in that field of helping adults as well because I am an adult. But the more I work with children, I see those lines of connection between helping it, cutting it off at the pass. If they're experiencing confusion or like what's going on, like you shared, what's going on with grandma? Why isn't she around? Well, if we can give them the tools to be able to navigate those tough emotions with simple centering techniques, just like you do with yourself. I'm just going to take 15 minutes and come back to myself. That's so powerful. And it's so
It's huge.
simple, right? it's not easy. It's not easy to get there. It's not easy to be able to come to the place where it just happens in 15 minutes. I personally have spent years in ashrams and in meditation and in temples to come to a place now where it's like, boom, I'm connected. Okay, great, let's move forward. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for not only your willingness to connect with me and to, be this continuous flow of this energy of this dream, um, but also sharing your passion, your purpose, and your mission in the world. Because if we're all operating at that level, it just rises everyone to ultimate greatness and service of what's good for one is good for all, because we are all one.
Well, like you telling me about your passion, it brought me here. And the more people that have similar and aligned passions that find each other do great things. And that's the point of this. And I appreciate you bringing me here. Appreciate it
Thank you.
very
So how can people connect with you, Brandon? Who are you
much.
looking
I mean,
greater? Yeah.
I have a LinkedIn, Brandon Davis. I don't really use it much. I have an Instagram. I don't use it that much. It's Brandon DWN Davis. Um, and our website's trek1capital.com. You can find me at one of those three places. And I'm bad about getting back to people. And this goes to anyone that knows me too. And there's some people that, like, if you message me and you don't hear from me in like 3 or 4 days, reach back out. It's not that I don't want to talk to you. It's that I probably buried it 50. I just missed it. And I feel bad when it happens. And I usually go back through my phone once a week and just try to make sure I didn't miss anything. But just if somebody if somebody wants to talk to me, just keep pinging me because I'll eventually get around to it. It's just a matter of how many crazy things are going on in my life at that moment.
Yeah.
You know,
Wonderful. Thanks for making it known that you won't be bothering you. They won't be
no,
bothering you. That's really beautiful. It's something that I also share with people. Like, if I don't get back to you, or if I can't answer, I'll get back to you next time. Just please keep trying. Don't give up, and don't give up on yourself as well. Yeah.
that's exactly it. That's the best message that you can give, I believe.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm again incredibly grateful. I wish you a beautiful day with your son, and yeah, a fantastic forever, really. And I hope to talk to you soon about Sacred Earth Sanctuary, giving this blessing of recovery and holistic health to more people, mental health as well. Yeah.
I actually had a call this morning with another person that was at that event that
Yeah.
is working on, it's not so far off of what you have going on. So I want to reach out to you and talk to you about it just because you're in the same place. Like it would, yeah, I think that you guys would definitely connect.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so I'll always do that too if it comes across and it's like, hey, this makes sense. Why not? So
Yeah. And I would just want to, in closing, give a shout out to Paul Getter and the Speakpreneur team for making this connection possible, and for, connecting such authentic people to other people, like you said, who are just trying to make their lives better and make everyone's lives better by speaking their truth authentically in the world and sharing our story so that other people can
yeah,
feel good.
did you meet Travis Doodles at the event?
Yes,
Did you
absolutely.
look him up?
He's incredible.
So I
Yeah,
didn't look him up, and that's the second time I've met him. And I
really.
knew that he did things for YouTube and on YouTube, whatever. So I asked him, I was like, hey man, you think you could help my son out with his YouTube page? And I showed him some of the videos. He's like, yeah, absolutely, I'll help him out. So I called my son on the way home on Sunday, like whenever we were there last week or whatever. And I said, hey, I'm gonna connect you with this YouTube guy. And he's like, who is he? And I'm like,
My
Doodles.
son?
He goes,
Oh.
Travis Doodles. He knew who it was. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
that's the guy. He's like, he's
Kind of
so
viral.
cool. And he helps all these homeless people. And I'm like, he does. And so I've been watching YouTube videos. I watched them for an hour this morning with the kids because they're like showing me. I'm like, okay, I really like Travis and I want to help Travis. So
Yeah.
anyway, it was just one of those things that kind of like I wasn't expecting. So and
Yeah,
the guy's doing God's work for sure. So I definitely
exactly.
want to help him. So
That was what
yeah,
was so impressive about everyone there. Every speaker
selfless.
is just like completely doing service. I mean, Travis does pizza trucks that he's built and designed that are Ninja Turtles decorated, homeless people, ice cream trucks that he's
The
decorated
church,
entirely, the church, the giving free haircuts, because he's also a barber and a what is it called, like graffiti artist. So he's like created all of this himself, and he's just out in the communities doing it all for free on the streets.
it's
What?
amazing. It's
Just
amazing. It's amazing.
like,
I had no idea. And I sat next to the guy and we chit chatted and we joked around and I had a great time with him. I had no idea to
yeah,
what depth he was involved in the community. And it touched my heart. So it just goes to show like how, you know, literally I talked to the guy. That's the second time I met him, second event I met him at, we chatted, had no idea because he doesn't brag about it. You know,
yeah, he's so
he
humble.
just does it.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we do. So
In service. Exactly.
absolutely. Well, have a great evening. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for having me. I'll do this anytime and feel free to reach out to me about anything, anytime.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'd love to connect again.
Thanks, Beth. I really appreciate it.
Brandon.
Take care.
You too. Many
Thank
blessings.
you.